right, here we go. So this unit that we're embarking on is basically about the money supply, how the Federal Reserve manipulates the size of the money supply in order to have an influence on interest rates. Anyway, to get started with that, we want to know what money is. So what is money? A couple ways to think of this. Really, it's this. It's anything accepted as a medium of exchange. Okay? In our system, money is basically the paper notes that you carry in your wallet, the coins you may or may not have in your pocket, and what we have in our checking accounts. Checking accounts are also called demand deposits. So that's what money is in our system. These percentages vary over time, but basically about half our money supply in the United States is the currency, which is paper and coin, and then about half of it is demand deposits, which is our checking accounts. Okay? So it's anything you can buy a candy bar with, basically. That's what money is. All right? Why do we use money? Well, because it has advantages over what you would call a barter system. So imagine if we just traded for everything. Okay? And by the way, we have done that. In our society, we have bartered in the past. In fact, you as children may have bartered in the past. Okay? Barter is just where you trade goods and services with one another without using money. Okay, so I trade my economic knowledge for a banana, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, the problem with this is that before trade could take place, there had to be what's called a double coincidence of wants. That means two people had to have things that each of them wanted from the other. Okay? So that's very difficult. So here we are at lunch. Okay? This little girl says she'll trade her salad for a Twinkie. Oh, that's a good idea. This guy says, I'd be happy to trade you my Twinkie, but I'd really like some ice cream. Do I look like I want some salad? Of course, this one's like, where am I going to find ice cream? Or where am I going to find somebody willing to trade salad for ice cream? So it's like she wants his Twinkie, he wants ice cream, she doesn't have ice cream, she has a salad. So what are they going to do? There's no ice cream. Ah. All right. So bartering is very inefficient. I'm going to demonstrate here why. Okay. Let's say I have a pig, and you have a donut, and I would like to make a trade here. Actually, let's back it up. I have the donut, you have the pig, and I want some bacon. Okay. So if we wanted to make a trade, we would have to negotiate how much of that pig is worth a donut. Is the whole pig worth a donut? I don't think so. It's got the greater than sign. So pigs are worth more than donuts. Everybody knows that. Okay? So we have to figure out how much is it worth. Okay? So we have to negotiate. It takes a long time to negotiate this. We end up deciding that the ham plus the tail is worth the donut. Okay? Lots of calculations. This actually takes lots of time. Okay? So once we do all of this, it actually creates there's a cost associated with making the exchange, and that cost is done away with when we use money. So see, this is much more simple. If you just say the donut costs $1, boom, that's simple. Everybody knows that. Okay? Or the lobster is $10. Easy enough. Okay? So it's less expensive for us to use money. The calculation of exchange is fast, it's easy. You know, if you don't want to pay the $10, you don't buy it. But you definitely don't have to go somewhere and trade somebody to get something that somebody else wants. Okay, so the calculation of exchange by bartering is slower than a monetary system. So it's less expensive to use money. Using money saves time, time is money. So that's kind of a background of how we develop money. Okay? Now, in order for something to be money, it has to serve these three functions. Okay? Number one, and probably the most important, is that it has to be accepted as a medium of exchange. If people do not accept the thing that we call money as payment for goods and services, then it can't be money. Okay? So it doesn't have to be these things. It doesn't have to be the $100 bill. It doesn't have to be these coins. It could literally be bananas. If you lived on the planet of the apes and everybody accepted bananas as a medium of exchange, then it could be bananas. Okay? So why do we call it medium of exchange? Medium means in the middle. So it's the thing that is in the middle that allows our transaction to take place. It's between buyers and sellers. Okay? This avoids the double coincidence of wants, because everybody wants money because you can use the money to buy anything. Okay? The second function of money is as a unit of account. All right? So basically, money has to serve as a medium of exchange. That means everybody accepts it. But then it also has to serve as a unit of account. And what we mean by that is that it measures the value of things. Okay? So for example, this phone cost $199. Okay? We just used money to determine what it's worth. Okay? So unit of account is measuring the worth of things. So if we were still on the planet of the apes, you could say that that phone is worth 300 bananas, for example, and that would still work. So unit of account is satisfied using bananas or cash or really anything that you can count. Okay? Now, the third function of money is where everything blows up using bananas. Okay? And that third function is the store of value. Money, in order to serve as money, has to store value from one time period to another without losing its value. Okay, bananas, if I stored them in my closet while I'm saving up for a new bike, well, they're not going to be worth what they were. They're going to go away. So they don't store value. Our money does. Okay, it does lose value with inflation over time, but it doesn't lose it drastically. Okay, if we were looking at Zimbabwe, their money they used that they got rid of, well, it didn't hold value over time. You know, it would decrease in value exponentially by the second. So that definitely didn't store value. Our money does though. So our three functions of money, medium of exchange, unit of account, store of value. Now there are other desirable qualities that money has. It should be scarce, it should be portable, okay, it should be divisible, that means you can get change for 100, and it should be difficult to counterfeit. We don't, if it's easily counterfeitable, then it's going to definitely not be scarce and it will lose value. All right, so medium of exchange is when you're using money to buy things. Okay, let me write that out here, as payment. Okay, that's when you're using money to you're actually spending it. So you're spending money. Unit of account, it's when you estimate value, or maybe stating prices. This is another way to think of it. Okay, so you're using money to determine what something costs. And then store of value is basically just saving. Whenever you save your money, you're using it as a store of value. So now we can play a game. Now, so looks here, it says here that Popeye estimates that he will need $500 in order to take olive oil to the prom. How is money being used here? It's an estimate, therefore it's unit of account. So these are things you'll need to be able to recognize. The next example, Diana saves her money from her bus driving job to get a real car. So she's saving, therefore that's using money as a store of value. Okay, last example, we've got Sanders threatens the tri-state area with his shrinkinator unless they pay him $1 billion. So he wants to be paid $1 billion in exchange for not shrinkinating or shrinking the tri-state area. So he is using money as a medium of exchange. So that was a very quick mini lesson on what is money and the three functions of it. Got a little bit more because we measure money in certain ways, and there's also two types of money. So I'll quickly go through this. Okay? Commodity money is going to be any kind of money or things we use as money that also has an actual primary use. So examples, gold, silver, cigarettes if you're in prison. And in our society we used to use grains. Okay? So these all have primary uses, but they're also accepted as medium of exchange, therefore they're called commodity money. The other one's called fiat money. The word fiat simply means by decree. Therefore, fiat money is money because an authority says it is money. So in our economy, this $100 bill, that quarter, those are fiat money because the only reason they have value is because, well, not the only reason, But the main reason that they have value is because the government says that is our money. And of course, society accepts it, therefore it does have value. Okay, so fiat money is money that has no other use except as money. Commodity money means that it has another use. Okay, so what are the Waldo nickels? Dun, dun, dun. Well, they have no other use outside of this classroom, therefore they are fiat money. Okay? Now, here's how we measure money. Okay? You're gonna see that we refer to the money supply as the M1 measure of money. So currency plus demand deposits. All right? So really any form of money that you can spend is part of the M1 money supply. It is currently around $3 trillion in size. Okay? Then you've got the M2 measure of money. Think of this as just our savings. Okay? So savings account is included here plus the M1. So if you think of M1 as money being used as a medium of exchange, and then that scoots on over here as well. So this is M1. And then what's underneath here, this is using money as a store of value. Okay? But the true definition of these things are M1 is currency plus demand deposit, so it's spendable money. And then M2 is the M1 measure plus savings accounts that are less than $100,000. Okay? Small time deposits, those would be like certificates of deposit. Money market mutual funds, those are all part of the M. Just for fun, there is, if you Google this, there is a little island chain in the South Pacific called the Yap Islands. And in ancient times, and even today, really, they use these large stone discs as money. So it's kind of interesting. They use those as a medium of exchange, a store of value, and a unit of account. It's interesting, though, because what they do, the way they do this, you can look this up on your own, but the way they do it is these things never actually change location. They just change ownership. So if somebody wins the lottery, for example, that's not true, but let's pretend if they win the lottery, that means they win this giant stone, and now they own it. So if they ever wanted to spend it, buy a house or something, they will change ownership from themselves to the seller of the home, but the stone itself never leaves. It always stays in one location. Very strange. Anyway,